All right, so working on this copy and just doing fine-tuned dodging and burning. I'll label the layer that way, fine-tuning. Always a good idea to save it every once in a while. This is where you push the range of your dodge and burn. So if I burn shadows, I can go to pretty much solid black. And that's how I'm going to get rid of this side of the face, basically. It's so extreme, but it's what is there in my portrait that I'm trying to match. It makes the shadows just so dark. Now, if I stay with burning only in the midtones, it's safer. I can't ever get to solid black like this. But by pushing it into the shadow range, I am able to go to solid black. And those are the bold processing choices of this photo that I'm trying to match. And I can do it on this side as well. Letting the hair kind of catch the light in a similar way to the hat. It will only affect the darkest shadows. Next. So that's what burning in the shadows will do for you. You can also burn the highlights, which is generally not a good idea because it just replaces your highlights with something dark. But in the case of like the chin here where the highlight is just too strong, if I burn the highlight, I can take it down subtly. And that will help. Right. So again, the only problem with burning, like dodging, is that it messes with your color a little bit, and so then you have to make corrections with the sponge tool and fine tune with that. And I'm actually going to bring saturation back into some of these areas right at the edges of the burning. Just a little bit over a broader brush. That just looks weird. Okay. So these are our fine-tuned dodging and burning. Getting closer and closer all the time. Now the last step is going to be focus. But I'm going to work with saturation. I'm going to take it down a little bit more. And with color balance, I'm going to work with that a little bit. That's pretty close. And then I might even go back to overall levels adjustments and make sure in all my dodging and burning I haven't lost sight of what's giving me the image that I want. You also can do fine tuning with your dodge tool. So we talked about dodging the highlights. I can brighten this eye. Try to bring out a highlight in the eye. Really make it sparkle. Again, you want to keep your exposures really low and your brush very soft. And I like to have a very soft touch, so it doesn't look like I'm drawing right on my picture. But if you dodge too much, you get to pure light, which you don't want. So even at very low exposures, you want to have a very light touch. Okay, so as we do these things, I can even dodge in the shadows. This is like burning in highlights if I'm really targeted about it. So if I want to bring out this eye and any color in the exposure, there is color in that eye. I just have to really dodge it out of the shadows. And then the midtones as well. Kind of bring that out. Maybe do that a little bit into this eye as well. Bring out those midtones and dodge the shadows. Now, if it goes to solid black, there's not much you can do. Okay. So after dodging and burning, all that's left is getting your focus pools to work. And remember, Photoshop is not good at adding focus. But what you can do is take one of your original exposures, especially the one that you optimized, and you can bring it over the top, and you can try a blending mode, like overlay, to bring some of that original focus back. See? To kind of sharpen some of those details. Then I just need to adjust that color a little bit. I think overlay gave me the sharpest delineations that I want to get that texture back. Because often when we dodge and burn, we're blurring it too much, especially with our soft brush. So now I just want to adjust these colors. And its saturation, mostly saturation, to match what I want. Okay, but you see that gives me a lot more definition where I dodged and burned. It puts that texture back in. It's without it, that's with it. So when you zoom up, now I can see all that skin texture again, especially where it's in focus, as opposed to where it got really softened by all of my brush strokes. And that's looking pretty good. Last thing is a focus pull, and the eyes are nice and sharp and in focus in my reference and in my photo, and the mouth is very sharp and in focus. The nose is slightly out of focus, so now I make my last copies, and now with this, I have to combine this background layer, which is only at 42%, with this layer, which is at 100%. And so what I do is I hold down Option, and I go to Layer, and I say Merge Visible. And then I get one layer that has everything in it. And this is the layer that I take areas from. And I can do it a variety of ways. I'll just do it a really quick and easy way. I'm going to select the tip of the nose with my lasso, go up to Filter and Blur and Gaussian Blur, take it down a little bit in its blur, and then just use a soft eraser at a low opacity to transition that focus. Then I can always play with the opacity of it too, just generally. So, to blur out the tip of the nose there, just the tiniest bit. The rest of it is pretty much focused as the picture. The edge of the ear, the edge of the hair, all slightly blurred. The edge of the shirt. And that's pretty good. Sure, it could be improved, but that's what we've got. To do anything drastic like change eye color, you have to get into kind of special effects, which would be like doing an overlay layer where I lighten and I just paint. And I could take a color and paint it into the eye. And then set it on a blending mode. Let's see, which one would it be? That would color it for me, kind of like that. And then maybe blur it out a little bit, you know, to give you blue eyes. Haven't you always wanted blue eyes? But those are special effects. So I'm going to keep it in the realm of photography without doing that. But of course, I mean, that opens up all kinds of possibilities. We could always change those to kind of brownish eyes with hue saturation. Photoshop gives us control of every pixel. So it'll give you soft golden glow in your eyes. How's that? Very nice. And by doing it on different layers, you can always blend it in with the layers behind. Okay, now, how do I finish up and save? I go back to my cropping mask, I turn on my guides, I make sure they line up, and I'm going to save it one last time as my assignment, and then I'm going to use the cropping mask to show me where to crop it. And hit return, turn off that cropping mask layer, turn off my guides, and I have my finished project. That I will save now. I don't want to save it as a Photoshop after I've cropped it. Just right before. And now I'm going to save that as a JPEG, and that's what I will upload to PhotoBucket.